In today's video, I'm going to show you all the back issues that I picked up at a free show, first show actually, hosted by a local Facebook group called the Minnesota Comic Exchange. Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. If you've been watching my channel over the last few weeks, you know that we've been working our way through that great haul of books that I brought home from a quarter sale held by a local shop. But this week, we could have done part 4, which would be the final part, but I really wanted to hit the pause button on that and do something different. Instead, I want to show you this haul of books that comes from a local show. It's actually the first show hosted by a local Facebook group called the Minnesota Comic Exchange. So they had this free show back in September. It was at a mall, an indoor mall, and the vendors basically lined the hallway with their tables. And that was pretty cool because usually the local shows in this area are more like VFWs, things like that. So it was kind of a different venue and fun. The reason I wanted to show this haul this week is because that group is actually getting ready to host their second show coming up this weekend, November 19th. And I really didn't want to have a second haul from this show before I even showed the first one. So that's why I figured we'd hit pause on that big haul from Hot Comics, show this instead, and then I'll probably come back and finish out that big quarter haul in the next video or so here. But for today, let's go ahead and check out the books that I got from the very first show hosted by Minnesota Comic Exchange, and I'll put links to that Facebook group down below in case any of you want to check that out. Starting things off, we've got this one issue from the 4-part Jurassic Park movie adaptation. This is issue 4 of 4. And from this particular seller, this was the only book I bought. It was a $1 book, and I was happy to find this because this now allowed me to complete that 4-part limited series. I never really even knew this existed until earlier this year, and then I found the first 3 issues at a local shop for like $1 a piece, and so fun to be able to round this out now with part 4 of 4. And honestly, I'm just a big fan of the Jurassic Park movies. I know that the first one pretty much has pretty good love for the very first movie. The ones after that, you really get a mixed set of opinions on that, and some people don't like the rest of the franchise. Overall, though, I've loved it, and I just think it's great. Big screen, summer blockbuster movies with big dinosaurs rampaging the world on screen. So just a lot of fun, and now fun to be able to complete this movie adaptation. The one slight disappointment I didn't notice until I got home is that while this is the polybagged version, that was nice. If you look here, the polybag is actually opened. So somebody had already taken this out to read it. The biggest disappointment there is that this action hologram card is no longer in the bag. So that's been removed. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But you know what? If I find this again at some point in the future for that $1 price range and it's sealed, then I'll definitely pick that up. And then I won't have to feel guilty about opening this one. I'll have a sealed version and I'll have one that's already been opened so I can read one copy of it. But that was one of my pickups from one of the sellers. All right, next up, I got $7 books from another table, and this seller's name is Tester's Toys. I actually picked up, this is his business card here, and then, in case you want to check him out, Tester's Toys. And then he had stickers as well, which is pretty cool, in the Toys R Us font there. But talking to him a little bit, he sells normally toys, but for this particular show he decided to leave the toys aside and go with comic books, and I'm glad he did because I found some fun $1 book finds at his table. And just a little side note, his was the first table I hit up when I got to the show. Typically my pattern is that I'll get to a show, I'll do a quick tour around to see who's there, what kind of prices books am I looking at, are there any sub $1 tables, and then are there $1 books and $2 books, etc. And then I'll pick a point to dive in and get going. And the first table is always the kind of situation where you're really excited and you're looking to find something, so you just start grabbing just about anything that you would even casually be looking for, because again, you just want to kind of get the gears going there and get the juices flowing in terms of finding books. But he had some really fun things, and I was able to build out some runs and find some things I don't ever really see in the wild. So starting off here, we have a few books from this Generation X title. I was collecting this actively when it first came out, and now I'm just working on getting the Chris Bacalo issues where he does either the cover or the pencils or both. And so the progress I made today was issue 26, and I thought there was one other. Oh yeah, I got these out of order here, sorry. And there's issue 30. And then those are the only two Chris Bacalo issues, but I also picked up a copy of issue 75. That's actually the final issue in the run. And as a collector, this type of book is another one I like to collect. Number ones are fun. I actually like number twos as well. And then regardless of what I'm collecting throughout that run, if it's the whole thing or just a part of it, the final issue is always fun to get. Just a fun thing to hunt for, and sometimes harder to find because for a lot of these runs, they were typically lower print issues. So fun when I can find those. And then lastly, from Generation X, I got this holiday special. Just a fun one-shot, and I like the Christmas-themed issues as well, so happy to grab that one. Next up here, got this issue of Sunfire and Big Hero 6. This is issue 3 of 3 from a limited series, and I honestly don't really know anything about Big Hero 6 other than it shares a name with the Disney Pixar movie Big Hero 6 that I really liked. Beyond the name, I don't know how closely those characters align with the movie, but it seemed like a fun thing to hunt for. There's this 3-issue limited series, and there's also their first appearance, which is in Alpha Flight Volume 2, Issue 17. That's a pricier book. Maybe I'll find it in a dollar bin someday, but that's about the only way I'd buy it. I'm not looking to spend up for that one. It would just be a fun find if I ever come across it. But then kind of in second place is this 3-part limited series, and I have never seen any of the issues in the wild. So even though it's just number 3 kind of floating there, and I still need issues 1 and 2, I wasn't going to leave it behind. So 1 issue down and a couple more to go. So fun little pickup there. And the other 2 books I got from Tester's Toys are these 2 issues of Cyclops from this 4-part limited series. Interestingly, I had never heard of this series before and only discovered it for the very first time just the week before at that Hot Comics sale. So I don't remember if it's in part 1, 2, or 3, but in one of those parts I show issues 3 and 4 that I picked up at that 25-cent sale, and now just a week later I was able to find issues 1 and 2 for $1 a piece. So I love it when you can not only start a limited series, but actually finish it out and complete that. Good satisfying feeling as a hunter and a collector. So those are the 7 books I got from Tester's Toys. Next up, we're going to shift over to a seller that I got to chat with as well. The name of the vendor is called Brothers Grin, like smiling, a play on words, obviously. Their names are Gabe and Nate, and I'll put a link to their website down below as well if you want to check them out. I don't recall ever buying from them before. Maybe I have and just never talked to them, so I never made the connection. But we got to talking because one of the brothers actually recognized me, which is crazy that anybody recognizes me ever. But we talked, and he knew that I had a YouTube channel, and he enjoys watching the hauls. And I said, well, hey, guess what? These books are going to be on that future haul. So I don't remember if that was Gabe or Nate, but to both of you guys, I apologize. It took like 2 months to get this up here, but finally showing the books that I picked up, and they had a great selection. If I recall correctly, I think they had boxes of different priced books. I was looking at the dollar books, but they had a deal where if you bought 10, you could get them for $8. I think that's what it was. I forget how the deal worked out, but basically I got each of these for 80 cents a piece, so even better than dollar books. And there were some really fun surprise finds. This was a great find. This is Mighty Thor Volume 1, Issue 352. just part of my ongoing effort to build out all of the issues that Walt Simonson worked on, whether it was writing, penciling, covering, or all. So 352, and this is always fun for me to find these issues, because a lot of times when I find them, they're in really rough shape, and I'm sure they were well read and well loved, but as a collector, I would like to find them in a little bit better condition if I can. So the fact that this was less than $1 and in nice, good condition, especially, you know, edges and the spine, and from a cleanliness perspective, very, very happy. And how can you argue with a cover with Beta Ray Bill on it? So that was book number 1. Here was a great surprise find. I love Daredevil, and in volume 1, I'm only working on the Ann Nocenti run, but anytime I find Bronze Age Daredevil in at least modest condition for this cheap of a price, I'm definitely going to pick it up, because it's just fun to be able to build out these issues. So this is issue 140, and very, very happy with that. It's in decent condition, and really for 80 cents, I'm not going to complain at all. But it presents really well. There's no major creases on the cover, no tears or anything, and it's complete. So really happy to get that. Next up, I found one more issue of this Devil's Reign crossover series. It's a 6-parter. I think now I only need like one more issue to complete it, but they had chapter 2. That was nice to grab that. Here was just a really nice Bronze Age Captain America, issue 272. Great Mike Zeck cover and Mike Zeck interior pencils. So another easy pickup when I found that. Wasn't expecting to find it. Wasn't even necessarily looking for it, but just a great cover art there. So I wanted to pick that one up. Then I got some of the issues from Amazing Spider-Man for different reasons. I'm not collecting all of Amazing Spider-Man. That just seems like an overwhelming task to me. But there are story arcs that I'm trying to collect, either for the story or for the creative team. This issue 432 I got because of the John Romita Jr. pencils, and I guess that's technically considered part of volume 1 from ASM. Then jumping ahead from volume 2, I got issues 533 and 534, getting those because they are tie-in issues to the Civil War story, so I want to build that out. Then I got this issue 556. That is a Chris Bacalo penciled story, or part of one. Got 587, another John Romita Jr. issue. And then lastly, I got this issue 699. This is, I forget the name of the story now, but issues 698, 99, and 700 are the 3 issues that give the lead-up story that kicks off, or that launches into the Superior Spider-Man story arc, where Dr. Octopus is inhabiting the body of Peter Parker. So wanted to get that lead-up story, and I think now with this issue, I have all 3. So those are the books I got from the Brothers Grin. Again, Gabe and Nate, it was great to talk to you. I hope I get to see you at this next show coming up on the 19th, and great books. That was a fun time. Last set of books here come from a seller. The seller name is Viking Comics. The seller's first name is Matthew, and I know his books by this sticker here, because he's got that little Viking emblem and the price tag sticker on there. But I've purchased from Matthew a few different times, and he's been a very good source for me in finding issues from this Walt Simonson run that I mentioned earlier that I've been working on. He has good prices, and his books are in good condition. And at the sale this day, I was able to get 5 more issues towards my goal of completing the Walt Simonson run. First up here, issue 346, and they're almost all in order here. There's 347, 348, 349, and then lastly 351. So 5 books there. Those were my big spend money books for the day at $2 a piece, but worth it, I think, especially for this type of a run that's harder to find in good condition and a lot of times the prices are even higher than that for these books. So I was happy to find them in this good a condition and at only $2 a piece. I think at this point now I'm down to about 10 books left to have the whole Walt Simonson run, at least this era in the 300s. Apparently he did a run in the 200s as well, but I'm not familiar with that as well. So this is the one I'm working on first. Got about 10 issues left to go. Unfortunately, I think like 7 of them are keys, including those first appearances of Beta Ray Bill. So don't ever really think I'm going to find those in the dollar bins, but they'll probably be the last books that I wind up getting. And when we get to that point, we'll cross that bridge. You know, you saw in my recent video that I paid $16 for an X-Men key so that I could complete the run. So who knows? It's a brave new world, folks. I could be willing to spend some money to get those keys to complete this run at some point. But for now, happy with these 5 issues from Matthew at Viking Comics, and very happy with the great haul that I got from the very first show hosted by the Minnesota Comic Exchange. All right, that's going to do it for me. And that's going to wrap up this haul from the first ever comic show hosted by the Minnesota Comic Exchange. I had a great time, good time talking to people, and great books that I was able to come home with. I'm looking forward to the second show on Saturday, November 19th. If you see this video in time and if you're in the area, please definitely check it out, and I'll have links to that information down below for you. Now for today, I do hope you saw something that you liked, but what about you? How's it been going for you in your own comic adventures recently? Let us know down below. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.